pregnancy. So what are the liver changes in normal pregnancy? So normally also like there are certain hematological changes which also affect the function of liver. So we know that plasma volume increases by 50%, RBC volume increases by 20%, cardiac output also increases, fibrinogen content increases, and that's why pregnancy is a hypercoagulable state. And because coagulation factors are also increased and cholesterol, triglyceride also increase in pregnancy. So pregnancy is a coagulant, procoagulant state, and it limits bleeding during delivery. So there is a scientific logic for that, that because of increased rise in number of various coagulant factors, so it reduces the amount of blood loss at the delivery. But because of that, there is risk of thromboembolism during pregnancy and in postpartum period. And normally the hematocrit decreases and concentration of albumin also decreases, protein S decreases in pregnancy. So plasma volume increases from 6 to 36 weeks of gestation by almost 50%, and red cell volume increases but only by 20% and is delayed. The hematocrit decreases by 24th week and becomes stable. So hemodilution should be kept in mind while during interpreting all the serum concentration. So this is very, very important. So in other words, pregnancy is a hypercoagulable state to avoid excessive hemorrhage during childbirth, but it has a negative effect in the form of increased risk of thromboembolism in pregnancy and in purpura. In physical examination, there can be spider angioma in pregnancy which can occur. Usually they are signs of liver disease, but they can occur in normal pregnancy also. Sometimes they can be palmar erythema. On peritoneal examination, there may be hepatomegaly, difficult to diagnose. So these signs are seen in case of liver disease. So hyperostogenemia, these changes usually seen in liver disease, but they may be sometimes normal finding in pregnancy. So it's very become difficult to diagnose liver disease in pregnancy because there may be physiological changes also. But usually, and the liver hepatomegaly may be difficult to diagnose in pregnancy because expanding uterus pushes liver upward and cannot be palpated. Now, what are the various forms of liver disorder during pregnancy? So we have three categories of liver disease. One are liver disease unique to pregnancy. We have liver disease coincidental to pregnancy, and we have chronic liver disease in pregnancy. That means a patient of chronic liver disease had pregnancy. So usually in first trimester we have 0 to 12 weeks we have hyperemesis gravidarum, which can also affect liver, not a liver disease directly but indirectly can affect liver. And usually then in second trimester 13 to 28 weeks certain disease can occur, but usually they occur in the third trimester. So either late second trimester or third trimester we have the disease like intrahepatic cholestasis of pregnancy, pre-eclampsia syndrome. Usually they occur in third trimester of pregnancy. HELLP syndrome, acute fetal labor of pregnancy. So they usually occur in the third trimester, but sometimes can occur in the late second trimester also. So that is what we see, that first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, and third trimester mainly acute fatty liver of disease, pre-eclampsia, HELLP syndrome, hepatic hematoma rupture can also occur. And then viral hepatitis, DILI, toxin, gallstone disease, Budd-Chiari syndrome, acute hepatitis E can also occur. So what are category of liver disease in pregnancy? We have already discussed disease. There can be disease unique to pregnancy, then liver disease coincidental to pregnancy, and chronic liver disease in pregnancy, as we have discussed before. So what are the liver disease coincidental in pregnancy? That means they're just coincidental. They have nothing to do with pregnancy, but coincidental. They can be gallstone disease, then Budd-Chiari syndrome, drug-induced liver injury, hepatitis A and E, liver masses. So they were patient had them and they suddenly had pregnancy. Then we have chronic liver disease in pregnancy. So they can be hepatitis, chronic liver disease. That means a patient of hepatitis B, hepatitis C, autoimmune hepatitis, NAFLD, alcoholic liver disease, primary biliary cholangitis, Wilson disease, hemochromatosis. So she had this chronic liver disease and then she had pregnancy. So that's why it's being complicated. What is approach to a liver disease in pregnancy? So there has to be multidisciplinary approach. Liver disease can be a serious condition in pregnancy and can be associated with significant maternal and perinatal mortality and even morbidity. So we need various, like apart from obstetric physician, family doctor, hepatologist, special nurse, and patient support facilities, we may require dietitian, physician with hepatologist. So mainly obstetrician and a liver doctor. Then of course specialist midwife, interventionist, maternal fetal medicine expert, neonatologist, anesthetist, etc. But single two most important factors are that they should be seen by at least two doctors. One is obstetric physician and one is liver doctor, apart from other family doctor and anesthetist at the time of this, and special nurses. So what are the recommendations of ACG Guideline 2016? A pregnant patient presenting with abnormal liver test should undergo standard workup with as a non-pregnant, just like any non-pregnant individual. So strong recommendation, level 4 evidence. What is approach to abnormal liver function? Quite often we see a pregnant patient, and when we do LFT test, they become abnormal. So what to do? So pregnant women deranged liver function test. So it can be if the AST and ALT are raised. So it is a hepatocellular pattern. We need to rule out viral hepatitis, so do the viral markers, CAM, medications, autoimmune hepatitis, Wilson disease, vascular disease. If there is a cholestatic pattern, that means rise in the patient may be having obstructive jaundice features. In that case, we need to do ultrasound abdomen and need to rule biliary obstruction, and also look for pregnancy related liver disease in this condition. If it is isolated ALP elevation, that can be a simple normal finding in pregnancy, so no further workup is needed. So two single most important tests are ALT and AST. In olden days, they were called SGOT, SCPT. So they are most useful tests for routine diagnosis of liver disease, and any change is pathological in them. ALP increase in third trimester is normal and can be due to increase in placental and bone isoenzyme. 5-gamma glutamate transferase or nucleotidase can be used to confirm hepatic origin of raised ALP. Bilirubin may decrease due to hemodilution. What investigation we need to do is that ultrasound is very safe in pregnancy. MRI can be used in second and third trimester. So there is a level 3 evidence for ultrasound safety, and MRI can be used in second and third trimester in selected patients. So conditional recommendation, level 4 evidence. CT usually we avoid in pregnancy, but risk of teratogenesis and childhood hematological malignancy, but may be used with minimum radiation protocol. And conditional recommendation, level 4 evidence. So generally ultrasound can be very safely done, while MRI can be done second, third trimester, and avoid as far as possible the CT scan unless absolutely indicated.